Whenever you're ready.
Okay. I'll call this meeting to order.
I would make a motion, we close, go to executive session
I'll
for
second that.
certain matters.
Motion by Mr. Guerra, seconded by Mr. Valadez. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming to the PUB board meeting. I'd like to introduce the board members this evening. To my left, we got board member Chris Valadez, and I'm Robert Sanchez, and to my right, Mr. Robert Guerra, and the former mayor, Pat Amada. So we are we're going to go ahead and jump into the chairman's report at this moment.
There was no action in executive session.
And no action in executive session in the closed meeting. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, board members and staff, I would like to begin my report by thanking all of you in attendance here this evening. We certainly needed some rain, but today's rain were more than expected. Again, thank you for making the effort to come to this meeting. On Friday, February 23rd, 2007, we celebrated the ribbon cutting for the seawater desalination pilot project located at the Port of Brownsville. We had numerous dignitaries attend the ribbon cutting, and I would like to read my welcome comments for those of you who were not able to attend. Ladies and gentlemen, as chairman of the Brownsville Public Utilities Board, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the ribbon cutting ceremony for the Rio Grande Regional Seawater Desalination Project. I express appreciation and gratitude to the Governor of Texas, Rick Perry, and the Honorable Ken Armbruster, Legislative Director with the Office of the Governor, and the Texas Water Development Board, and Chairman Pittman for their support and commitment to this project through their $1.34 million grant to the Brownsville PUB. I also thank the Brownsville Navigation District as co-sponsor of the project. The Brownsville Navigation District has supported the project by contributing to the site and assisting in the installation of the pilot plant. The Brownsville PUB has also committed over $700,000 to the project. It's received widespread regional support. Over 48 entities, including cities, water supply corporations, and water districts from throughout the Rio Grande Valley have expressed their support to the project. This pilot project will provide data and information we need in order to utilize a new source of water that is vital for municipalities, industries, and agriculture. It provides for a drought-proof water supply that is vital for the future for Brownsville, the Rio Grande Valley, and Texas. In 2004, the Brownsville PUB demonstrated its commitment to desalination as a water supply source through the Southwest Regional Water Authority desalination plant. The Rio Grande Regional Seawater Desalination Project demonstrates that continues commitment to desalination as a viable long-term water supply source. You know, in addition to Senator Armbruster and Chairman Pittman, I'd like to also thank Senator Eddie Lucio Jr., State Representative Eddie Lucio III, Cameron County Judge Carlos Coscos, and Martin Arambula, Chairman of the Brownsville Navigation District, for attending and providing their remarks. I also want to recognize Brownsville Public Utility Board members Pat Almada and Chris Valadez for attending the event, and I thank the PUB staff for putting on this special event. I also attended the Texas Desal Day in Austin on March 7th. This event was co-sponsored by Texas Water Conservation Association, Desalination Coalition, and the South Texas Membrane Association. The purpose of this event was to bring attention to efforts of various entities, and that by working together to turn brackish groundwater and seawater into drinking water, we can ensure the economic future of Texas. While in Austin, I also had the opportunity to visit with area legislators and promote legislation that is important to our city. Mayor Eddie Trevino and other community representatives were also in attendance, and it is important that we demonstrate to our legislators that we are working together for the betterment of Brownsville. I'd like to also make a few other small comments here. You know, the democratic process gives the community the chance to choose candidates in city elections or state or federal. And we got some city elections coming up here soon in May. And I just, wanted to say a few comments there. It would have been an injustice to have in some of those races an incumbent against no opponent. So I'm very pleased that the democratic process is going to go through in some of those races, and there will be opponents there. And to me, it's not a democratic process if somebody runs unopposed. I also we're going to talk a little bit about the PUB hour that comes out of the city channel and on the BISD channel of some problems that had occurred recently where I hope politics isn't getting involved, but I really feel that transparency and open government need to come to this PUB, and myself and my colleagues have worked hard here in the last year or two, along with PUB staff, executive staff, and all of PUB, to put PUB as a top performer and proper rates and looking after costs. One other point is, this is straight from me, I just feel that our local newspaper, the Brownsville Herald, should not be biased. They should be fair, just, and give the proper information to the community so that the community can make their decision on who is right or who is wrong, not necessarily an editor of the newspaper. And I personally invited the editor and other people from the Brownsville Herald, and I don't see any of them in the audience, and we gave some personal...
Mr. Chairman, I would be remiss, and with all due respect, I think we're going a little bit crossing the boundaries here. I like to point out that I think we should stay focused on the few.
I can respect my colleague's opinion, but I was maybe about 5 words away from finishing. So I just want to go ahead and finish that point that I sure wish somebody from the Brownsville Herald was at the PUB meeting so that they can learn the facts about the PUB and the board members before making such reckless comments. So now we move on to the general manager's report. Mr. Bruzak.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, just a couple of things. Major flooding today around noontime. We seem to fare pretty well on the electric side with some minor outages. Some of it affected by with AEP having some lines down. A lot of flooding. I'm sure our wastewater plants exceeded their capacity today because of the inflow and water coming in. We'll have some numbers on that, but it does show that we're approaching capacity on an average day. On a rainy day, we go over capacity. I'll be in Washington tomorrow, and Wednesday, American Public Power has a legislative event. The state president, and they had asked me to attend that, so I'll be coming back Thursday morning. I'm going to ask Leandro Garcia to provide the financial report. You have that in your other white binder.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Mike Perez. I'm the county manager for the Brownsville PUB, and I will be presenting the PUB's financial statements for the month of January 2007. On page 2, we have the adjusted gross revenue summary, presenting the monthly and year-to-date revenues. Operating revenues and wholesale revenues for the month of January 2007 were $12.6 million. After adding in other revenues, interest on investments, other non-operating income, total gross revenues for the month of January were $13.7 million. Once we got fuel and energy costs, wholesale energy expenses and Southwest expenses, the adjusted gross revenues for the month of January were $7.8 million and $32.7 million year-to-date. This is the amount that's being used to calculate the city's transfer. On page 3, we have PPUB's obligations. The O&M and non-operating expenses for the month of January were $3.5 million. After adding in debt service obligations of $1.9 million, the total requirements were $5.5 million. By reducing this amount from the adjusted gross revenues that were reported in the previous page, and after reducing the City of Brownsville usage, the balance available to surplus was $1.98 million for the month of January 2007, and the year-to-date surplus was $9.9 million. Of the year-to-date surplus, the cities and PUB's allocation were $1.8 million and $8.1 million respectively. On page 4, we have the allocation of the Brownsville PUB surplus. As you all recall, the ordinance requires reserve accounts, and therefore, on a monthly basis, the PUB is transferring funds to meet these reserves. The year-to-date allocations to the operating reserve were $333,000. The transfers each day for the operating sub-fuel adjustment account were $1.3 million, $5 million for the capital improvement project funding, $1 million for the reserve fund, leaving a surplus balance in the improvement fund of $375,000. The remaining items in this presentation are summary graphs comparing last year's year-to-date actual, this year's budget, and this year's year-to-date actual. As can be seen, the year-to-date operating revenues and gross revenues were under budget and under prior year's actual. These decreases are attributable to lower fuel and energy costs, as will be seen in the next slide. The year-to-date adjusted gross revenues of $32.7 million were, after reducing fuel energy, wholesale energy, and Southwest expenses, exceeded budget by $200,000 and exceeded prior year's actual by $2.3 million. On page 6, as you can see, the year-to-date energy expenses of $18.5 million were under budget by $3.3 million, a 15% change, and were also under last year's actual by $7.3 million, a 28% change. The decrease in fuel and energy expenses from last year is attributable to the reduced fuel and energy rates. The rate for January 2006 was 7 cents per kilowatt hour, as compared to 5.5 cents per kilowatt hour for January 2007. The year-to-date O&M actual expenses of $12.7 million were under the budgeted amount by $2.1 million, a 14% change. The year-to-date actual expenses exceeded last year's actual by $600,000. Page 7 reflects the year-to-date surplus available of $9.9 million, which exceeded the budget by $2.6 million, a 36% change, and also exceeded last year's actual by $1.8 million, a 22% change. The surplus available to PUB represented $8.1 million, while the city's surplus represented $1.8 million. The graph on page 8 represents the utility contribution balances to the surplus fund. Electric contributed $7.68 million to the surplus, which was over budget by $1.79 million, a 30% change. Water contributed $520,000 to the surplus, an increase of $90,000 from the budgeted amount. Wastewater contributed $1.7 million to the surplus, a $700,000 increase over budget, and $307,000 over last year's actual. Overall, the percentage contributions to surplus for electric, water, and wastewater were 77.6%, 5.3%, and 17.1% respectively. The graph on page 9 summarizes the electrical monthly consumption. The January 2007 consumption was 92.7 million kilowatt hours, a 4.4 million kilowatt hour increase from the month of December 2006, a 5% increase. Current month consumption is also 50.2 million kilowatt hours over last year's January consumption, a 20% increase. The graph on page 9 reflects the water consumption. For the month of January 2007, the water consumption increased approximately 18.1 million gallons from December 2006 consumption, a 3.5% decrease. The January water consumption also represents a decrease from last year's of 11.1 million gallons, a 2.2% decrease. The graph on page 9 reflects the wastewater flows. For the month of January 2007, the wastewater flows decreased approximately 6.9 million gallons from December 2006, a 2% decrease. The January 2007 wastewater flows also represent a decrease from last year of 11.5 million gallons, a 3.3% decrease. The last slide on page 12 provides the status of the year-to-date capital expenditures by utility and funding sources. As of January 2007, the actual capital expenditures were $5,777,809, of which the majority of $3.8 million was spent on electric projects and $1.4 million on water projects. Another $1.6 million has been encumbered by either POs or invoices for existing and new projects, bringing the total year-to-date capital expenditures to $7.4 million. This represents 12.5% of the $59 million approved capital spending plan. This concludes the financial presentation for the month of January. Does anyone have any questions?
Any questions from the board members?
I don't have any questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. And at this point, Mr. Brusek and fellow board members, I'd like to, since the rain slowed down some concerned citizens, I want to see if there's anybody that has any public comment. We don't have a small period here. Anybody in the crowd that would like to give a public comment? Mr. De Leon? We welcome Don De Leon this evening to the PUB Board Meals meeting. Former board candidate. Welcome, Don.
Chairman, thank you, members of the board. My name is Don De Leon. I'm a citizen of Brownsville and also involved in our politics somewhat. I just come to let you know a sentiment that I hear around the city, some in favor, some against, but you know, the biggest issue coming before us is probably the impact fees. And I want to discuss that my feeling, and some of my friends and family, is that no matter what fee it is that is raised, it's not going to just slow or stop growth. It will continue to grow. Brownsville's growing, and we will continue to grow with or without the people that are supplying our city. I want to congratulate everybody who's doing a good job here. I think PUB is obviously, from the numbers, operating well. I believe it's one of the best entities that the city has in our own. And I just want to tell you guys to keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. De Leon. Also, I would like to recognize in the crowd this evening, because we invited all the city commissions to get informed over here at the board meeting, and also some candidates for public office here locally in the upcoming May election. We have former city commissioner in the crowd and candidate for city commission, Mr. William Garza. Thank you, sir, for coming this evening. And we also have Catalina Presa Garcia for District 1. Mrs. Francis Garcia, could you stand, please? Thank you for coming this evening. And did I miss anybody else that's upon? Okay, there he is, I see you, sir. Former city commissioner, Mr. Ernesto de Leon, running for commission.
Place 8.
Place 8. Thank you, sir, for coming to the PUB board meeting. We now will be moving on to item 4. Consideration and approval of consulting services for the development and implementation of the Brownsville Public Utility Board Strategic Plan. Mr. Campirano.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, at the last meeting, the February board meeting, the board authorized to negotiate services agreement with R.W. Beck for the development and implementation of the strategic plan. Authorized the city manager not only to go ahead and negotiate a contract, but also finalize the scope for that particular project. The engagement consists of 3 phases, Phase 1, Phase 2, and Phase 3. The tasks and the hours for each phase are outlined in the scope of services, which will facilitate the tracking of the progress. The project is estimated to be completed in 5 months. This was one of the, the goals that the board identified for us to do in 2007, and that is the development and implementation of the strategic plan. The plan as presented has a total estimated cost of $183,000. It will involve commitment on the board's part as well as staff's part, and you can see the breakdown of that commitment as identified in the individual phases. Mr. Tim Corrigan with R.W. Beck is here if anybody has any questions, and we would ask the board to consider the approval of the strategic plan and implementation services with R.W. Beck for an amount not to exceed $183,000.
Being that we've already voted on the firm, that we're just going to negotiate a price, I'll make a motion.
Well, there is can I ask something?
Yes, sir.
Look, we're doing a lot of studies. I mean, the mayor just did also a master plan study. And this is the utility company, so I don't know, did they take into account in this master plan?
Well, we're going to, I can't speak for the city, or I can't speak, but I will tell you that it will be important that we participate in the municipal strategic planning process, only because of the infrastructure. I mean, we're going to have to be involved. Now,
that's what I was leading to you. If R.W. Beck is going to be doing this, I think we need to do it, make sure that we have a voice in the master plan over there, because I don't think anybody's invited. Right now, if you go down Southmost, which I did today, and if you go down here, right here, just come to PUB right now, if you go over there by Price Road also, it's very flooded. And I think that should be part of the strategic plan and the master plan. Do you know if that's part of the master plan?
From what I understand, reading the paper and so forth, it is going to include infrastructure, so obviously the drainage issues are a big component of that. But so we're going to be...
The R.W. Beck won't put that to the table to...
R.W. Beck is going to facilitate assisting this board and this organization with our strategic plan as it relates to our business goals and implementation of those goals. Part of that process will be looking at how we integrate what we do, hopefully with the city of Brownsville. But essentially, these two are not to be confused. This is not a capital improvement master plan. You have on the agenda for today to also do the water and wastewater master plan. This is to formulate with the board's guidance on what is our strategic vision and how are we going to accomplish that in the next 5-10 year planning horizon. So this is more of a policy document that we will use to determine what is important to this community, to this board, and how are we going to execute business plans to accomplish those strategic objectives.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Is the city's master plan, the way I read it, was for wastewater, stormwater. It's tied in to alleviate the flooding.
That's the city one.
Okay.
You also have another item that is somewhat related, and that is that working committee, which will also be, I'm sure all of that is going to play a role in all the discussions that will go forward. But this plan here is not a capital improvement strategic plan. Remember, this is more or less going to be used as a policy document to guide how this utility is going to proceed in the next 5-10 years.
I mean, it would have been wise for the city to notify us because, like you said, we voted on that last meeting. In this meeting, we're gonna do a wastewater master plan.
But nobody signed it.
And that ties into what the city wanted to do. The city's spending $1 million.
Not on that plan, though.
Because I think, well, then I think we should take the initiative and make sure that they understand that they need to take this into account, because if they're gonna spend $800,000, $900,000, we need to address those flooding issues that's all, I mean, if we were to get a hurricane, you know, it would paralyze the city the way it is right now. This is just a few inches of rain, and it's already
We see the
hard.
effects of that when we get a couple of inches.
You can't even
right
get
out
in
front
here.
of you.
You can't even get in here unless you drive a truck, you know, so. Okay, thank you, I understand. Appreciate it.
Anyway, it's your recommendation that we approve.
Staff's recommendation is to approve the contract as presented.
I make the motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mr. Amata, seconded by Mr. Valdez. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. I want to move item number 16 up next. We're going to move item number 16, and that is consideration and approval of City of Brownsville proposal for airing the Brownsville Public Utilities Board meetings on the city channel. And that's coming from me. And I asked City Manager Candler to please put the Public Utilities Board meetings on the city channel. And preferably...
Make the motion.
Okay, you make the motion?
I'll second it.
Positive thing.
And,
What else?
Well,
Are we talking about removing it from the BISD channel and putting it on
Wants it in
the
conjunction.
city channel? I don't think that's what he's actually talking about.
I think he wants to air it at the same time on the BISD and the city channel.
BISD, as far as I know, they air it 7 o'clock in the evening on Fridays, and I believe 9 o'clock in the morning on Sundays. And most citizens throughout the years, they're either at the football games or basketball games or going and having dinner Friday evening. So they, you know, and many citizens have asked to watch the meetings because they can't make it to the meeting in person. They want to see it on the channel. And the city channel, they keep rerunning the city commission meetings all the way till midnight, or we see the mayor reading to the children, which is fine, but it's almost overkill. And the PUB meetings should be out there with the impact fee issues and other issues in the forefront of the PUB. I feel that the citizens of Brownsville should see the meetings a little bit more. So the idea was to leave it at the BISD and then put it on the city channel. But I believe the proposal was for the filming of the meeting.
we haven't got that proposal yet.
Mr. Candler said you already had it.
We have, there's two issues. One is like, we're saying, we're not talking about ceasing the BISD airing
No,
of the...
I don't want to do that.
What we're talking about is two things. One is that the city has encountered some difficulty in taking the tape that BISD produces for us and putting it in a format where they can air it on their channel. The first proposal they gave us, this is one we can handle administratively, where they will take that and make it available to where they can use it on their equipment, and they're going to charge us a fee for that. The city is going to charge us a fee for that. The second proposal that we are anticipating is a proposal whereby they are going to submit a proposal that would say we can film, as I understand it, that they would do the filming, they would provide the person, they would do everything. At that point, then, we would not be asking BISD to essentially provide the personnel and the equipment to film this or broadcast. So that proposal is not forthcoming, and that proposal, as we understand it from Mr. Sanchez, is what he's talking about in having the city manager who is going to having staff working on another proposal that we can entertain at a later date. We haven't seen that, and that proposal, I suspect, will also come with a fee requirement. We do pay the school district right now a fee for the personnel, the equipment, editing these meetings. So, but we're not in a position to tell you what that is because we haven't received it.
I do have a question.
if we go with the city, I mean, we don't have a proposal, but let's say we do with the city, would we be able to then air the meeting in the ISD channel, or would we have the same problem, different formatting and so on?
I think part of the discussion is what kind of technical issues might be encountered in either providing them what they need to air it or vice versa. I can tell you that, you know, we haven't seen the proposal, so we really don't know what's entailed in it. All we have at present is simply taking what BISD currently does for us and reformatting in a manner that they feel they can use more effectively to air the board meeting
At a fee.
That's correct.
We don't know what the fee is yet either.
Yes, we did. In fact, I can give you a copy of that letter proposal.
That's not what we're doing the tape.
It's $249
For the taking.
for converting the format into a usable format for them.
But they're not charging us for the airing.
No, they're not charging us for the
I think that's the minimum charge.
But, you know, I don't know if my colleagues agree with me or not. We do a lot for the city. I mean, they get a lot out of us that we don't even charge them when we could. And I think it's unfortunate that they're taking this attitude instead of trying to do something with PUB to where people raise awareness of what's going on in PUB. They want to charge us. Well, just hold back their dividend check 1 month.
Well, you get that,
How much they'll charge us.
For it, and then you can charge them.
No, I just don't think we should pay them. I mean, just out of principle.
I agree.
I'd make a motion, we table this, let staff continue negotiating, and maybe we can work out something a little bit better.
I agree with that, and with what I believe in, and you might make it known to them, they should not be paid the charges when they take so much from us. That's my position.
Well, and that's why I'm so happy that 3 city commission candidates are here to learn these points. There seems to be a little communication gap or something between the PUB and the city with things like this. Real quick.
I don't want to give up BISD, okay?
No, don't give up BISD, but we were already on the city channel, and then all of a sudden, the video's showing, and there's no sounds. It's mute. And it's funny because even on the city channel sometimes, on the city commission meeting, when certain activists or certain people are up there stating their point, boom, the volume goes off.
We have a
Makes you
motion.
wonder, you know, but hold on, I know we have a motion on the floor, but if we table it, you're not gonna see there won't be a PUB meeting on the city channel for another 30 days. And I think that's an injustice to the citizens of Brownsville to let that happen. I think what we're doing, what the colleagues here that want to table it, and if you do, you can do it, it's just adding on to the political sabotaging going on in the community.
Let me make a motion. I'll make a motion to go ahead and approve this. It's gonna be $249 for this month. That way they can go ahead and air it. And then, but in all, you know, in defense of the BISD, we didn't go before the city commission. This is Jerry Hedgecock, the Director of Public Information Services, and he's just doing his job. You know, we're contacting them, and they're just doing their job. This is what we charge as our fees. Maybe we go ahead and approve this, we pay this month, and then take it before the city commission, because I think the city commission are the ones that can waive this fee. So, I move to approve.
Chairman, there's a motion on the table to table this? There's a motion on the table to table this. The motion is for the board.
Is there a second?
I second it, yes.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor by Mr. Guerra and a second by Mr. Ahumada
To table.
to table the PUB meeting going on city channel until staff negotiates with them.
And brings it back.
And so
Is that right?
yes, okay.
I will say one thing, a couple of things. First and foremost, BISD has been extremely responsive to everything we've asked. Secondly, the city is not saying that they won't air it. What they're saying is that they're having difficulty airing it in the current format. What they're saying is to make it more feasible for them to air it where they don't have those problems, this is what they're going to charge.
Let me ask this, have we approached BISD and tell them, can you change the formatting for us at a lesser fee or no fee or whatever? I mean, have we even negotiated or talked to them about it?
I personally went and saw the superintendent about this. He didn't know what was going on. They finally fixed it up. They pointed fingers at the city and back and forth. The problem still occurred. Nothing got resolved. There was no voting. They took the disc or the case. It never came back on the BIC or the city channel. The only one that got a clear copy of it was a website named Cafe Brownsville, something like that. And they got it, and it was clear. The website had it clear. The BIC did not have it clear. And the city did not have it clear. And that was a great concern of mine, because it just didn't look right. So we have two motions.
No, one motion.
We have one motion.
One motion, and a second, from you, yes. All those in favor, raise your hand by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against? Nay.
And now, and the reason I went nay there was to see if we could, like I said in my previous one, I'll make a motion to go ahead and okay this. It's minimum $249. And we'll do it just so it'll be aired this month and then come back and during this month, staff can go over there and negotiate this price or like Mr. Guerra suggested, talk to BISD and see if they can do that format for us. So that would be my motion, just to okay it for this month and see if we can negotiate while we're paying the fee.
There's a motion on the floor by Mr. Valadez, as he stated.
I just think that once you set the precedent, I think it's hard to go back to the negotiation. So my opinion is to allow staff to go there and work with BISD and the city, see what the best proposal could come out with that would not incur cost. That's the way I see it.
Well, and then this is, I think, $249 to come in before us. Doesn't this fall under your thing, John? Why don't we just give John he can negotiate.
That was my whole motion, to let the staff negotiate. That was what I made.
Or how about, here's another one.
That's right.
Well, let me withdraw my motion and then do what Mr. Guerra suggested.
I'd like to re-urge my motion again, to let staff negotiate with the city of Brownsville and BISD.
Iron it out. Iron it out next week and get it done.
And I second the motion now. I agree with Mr. Guerra. I second the motion.
Okay. Who has the first motion? Motion by Mr. Valadez, seconded by Pat Amala.
So the motion is to go back to
let Mr. Bruciak negotiate with them and try his best to get it on the city channel in the next 48 hours. Now, if you have... Now, John, let me tell you something. John, that was a good laugh from y'all. Appreciate it. John, now, hold on, one more thing. If there is a problem with that, this concerned citizen, out of his personal bank account, will donate it to the citizens of Brownsville and pay that fee so it can be on in 48 hours.
We'll get it taken care of. We'll deal with it.
Okay, there's a motion, yes, and a second, we have a vote.
Yeah, motion, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay.
No, we're...
We're off 5.
Now you gotta go back.
Item 5.
We now move to item 5, discussion and action on appointment of 2 representatives from the Brownsville Public Utilities Board to the committee consisting of Cameron County and the City of Brownsville entities. Mr. Campirano.
Mr. Chairman, you asked that this item be put on the agenda. If you recall, on the 20th of February, a meeting was held at Brownsville City Hall between Cameron County, the City of Brownsville, the Brownsville Navigation District, and the Regional Mobility Authority. The purpose of the meeting was to discuss transportation priorities, port projects, and the county's bridge master plan. It was agreed that a permanent working committee would be established and 2 members from each entity would be appointed to the committee, including 2 individuals from the Brownsville Public Utilities Board. The committee would meet every 3 to 4 months and would discuss and set priorities on the project. It's our understanding that the committee is going to be proceeding. We don't know the name of the committee as of such, but they have asked or have invited PUB to appoint 2 individuals as the representatives of the committee. And at your request, you have that consideration.
Mr. Chairman, subject to the people accepting the nomination and appointment, I recommend that Al Vial and Mr. Guerra serve with the committee. That's a
Commissioner, motion by Mr. Ahumada on recommending Mr. Guerra and Mr. Villar to serve on the committee with the city of Brownsville and the county,
subject to them accepting it.
subject to either one of them accepting the nomination.
Well, then why don't we just table it until everybody's
Just all you
here?
have to do is ask Al, and if he doesn't accept it, come back and point it out.
The only problem I have is because I think that staff, either Mr. Company, I think we should have a board member there, absolutely, but I think it's got to be either one of our,
Okay.
we got to have John.
I thought they would be participating in the meetings anyway, staff would, I mean, you would
Yeah,
participate in the
probably.
meetings.
We'll support it.
We'll be there.
They have
Okay, well, in that case, I'll go ahead and second your motion.
We'll support the board on that.
Okay, so motion by Mr. Ahumada, seconded by Mr. Valdez. All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes, and,
Don't blame me.
I just wanted to mention too that, it was unfortunate all the PUB board members were not invited to that historical meeting over there. I don't feel it's historical until they include the BISD board members and all of the PUB board members in those meetings. We now move to item number 6, discussion of Brownsville Public Utilities Board Satellite Facility. Mr. Campirano.
This is a discussion item that was placed at the request of Mr. Ahumada, and maybe today is a good indication of what has happened. We have talked in the past about looking to provide another location. We've looked in the north side of town to do a PUB satellite facility. It essentially is like, where are the people that we're serving the most, and where are they coming from, and would it be more convenient, and would it be prudent for us to go there as opposed to make them come here? I will tell you, and you see that in your monthly reports, we have about 50% of our client base that comes here on a monthly basis, whether it's to pay the bill, or whether it's to open services, close services, make pay arrangements. We have a lot of traffic here, and so part of our discussions in the past have been to potentially look at something on the north side of town, perhaps something on the southmost side of town, and really offer the services in those communities where the people are, as opposed to making everybody come here. So this is just a discussion item. This also fits in very well with your strategic planning discussion that you will have in terms of business goals. So again, it is a discussion item, and we're here to answer any questions that you may have as any past effort that we have made in looking at this.
No, I was saying, yes, among other things, several months ago, I noticed that we used to be able to make payments at First National Bank, and when we changed, I guess, the depository, we lost that ability, and so now it's either going into HEB or Lopez, or get in the drive-up lane here. That's the only drive-up you have.
We have multiple. We actually have in excess of 20 KALO stations. It's not just Lopez, and it's not
Where do you
just
drive up?
HEB.
Where do you have?
The only place to do a drive-up would be here.
That's it.
I think it's,
But the other thing is that we want a facility to where you have some kind of support staff there to deal with issues that come up.
I mean, yeah, any place we could have computer connections, and
They
they
can
can
get down
do
to
everything.
a contract or pay for a service.
You want to be able to do everything at those locations that you can do here, not just simply a pay for.
I had this put in the agenda because that's one of the complaints I hear a lot, and I'm sure you all do too, that people are waiting here. And you come in here some days and it's just full, and people are working and they have to take time off of work and they're losing time, and it's not fair to them when we could do a little better, I think. So the idea is to allow the management to go out there and look at where maybe one or two facilities would best serve the community, the ratepayers, and also alleviate the congestion here for people with their issues and payment and stuff like that. So I would like for the manager to go out there and then bring back a proposal, and especially today, it points out the need for it because there's people that can't get here.
Right.
And if they don't pay, they don't pay a penalty.
That's your motion.
What is it? I want to emphasize the need to really go out there and either whether lease, purchase land and build, whatever you think would best serve, because we're growing.
We'll just bring it back.
Bring it back to us. Is that okay?
That's your motion.
No, that's not a motion.
There's no item?
Well, then we have to give them authorization to do this, right?
We just did.
Okay.
Vote.
The general manager is within the scope of work.
Bring it back.
We just brought the issue to
We now move to item number 7, consideration and action on changing the Brownsville Public Utilities Board holiday schedule. Mr. Capilano.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, again, Vice Chairman Pat Almada asked that we place this item on the agenda for discussion and consideration. Attached is the board's, for the board's review, discussion, and consideration is a copy of Cameron County's holiday schedule. In addition to the holiday schedule, the City of Brownsville holiday schedule recognizes 3 particular holidays, Christmas Day, New Year's Day, and Independence Day. And what their policy says that if the holiday on any one of those 3 falls on a Tuesday, then the preceding Monday is also served as a holiday. And if the holiday falls on a Thursday, then the following Friday is observed as a holiday. We did change the holiday schedule at January meeting to include Veterans Day and Martin Luther King Day. So if you compare the current holiday schedule with the county holiday schedule, you will note that we do not observe Cesar Chavez Day, nor do we observe Emancipation Day. And then the inconsistency or the difference between the PUB holiday schedule and the city holiday schedule is that language as it relates to when the holidays for Christmas, New Year's, and 4th of July fall.
Okay, I had this put on the agenda because the utility company is very unique. It deals with 2 things. It primarily is water, wastewater, and electricity. The city and the county deal with a whole very different issues and needs. You can talk about paving streets, health department, animal shelter, all kinds of different needs they have to meet for the residents of Brownsville. And they manage to give their employees those days off. And I think PUB should do no less, because if anybody can afford to give them the day off, it would be PUB, because we can operate with a skeleton crew in those days, without a hardship. Whereas the city and the county, it does put a hardship on them, and there's a high demand. And I believe in treating our employees right, giving a good wage. Some were patient; they didn't get a raise for 4 years. We've come a long ways, and this is part of, as a business person, I see that you provide for your employees a good working environment, you pay them a good salary, and you give them those days that they should be getting in comparison to others. And I think you have a good employee working for you, a loyal employee, and you bring in the top best when they're applying for jobs here at PUB that want to work for us in the state. So based on that, I would like to accept the manager's proposal here.
What's the proposal?
To observe those holidays that we're not observing?
If we would make any changes, that we would say is to mirror the county's plan, or to change the policy to reflect consistent with.
I don't think we need to follow the county's plan. I do think, though, I would like to get the Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday holiday, but I don't think we need to follow all the days Cameron County gives their employees, because among other things, if they have the day off and they need something to transact, they have the day off to come over here. We won't have anybody here for what they want to do, such as Chavez Day or Juneteenth Day. So, I don't think we need to mirror county.
How many more days would it add if we mirror the counties?
2 more.
You would add 2, and if you include the city language on odd-numbered years, you would also have 2 additional days. Because remember, if the holiday falls on a Monday, it only will occur when the holiday falls on a Tuesday or it falls on a Thursday. So you have Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So that jumps every other year. It's 2 days, however you look at it, potentially.
Well, it'd be 2 or 4.
2 or 4.
Yeah, because it could be some years you're adding 4 more vacation days.
Mr. Chairman, I made a motion.
Okay. Motion on the floor by Mr. Amada.
To mirror county and accept the city policy on how we do the holidays.
His motion, is to with the approval of the changes to the PUB holiday schedule. There's a motion on the floor. Any second?
I'll second.
Okay, second by Mr. Valadez. All those in favor, raise your hand by saying aye. Aye. Those against?
Nay.
One nay, motion passes. We now move to item number 8, consideration and approval to authorize the use of funds for payment towards the outstanding commercial paper notes. Mr. Garcia.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, my name is Sandro Garcia, the CFO for Brownsville PUB. This agenda item requests the board authorization to apply some investment income earned in our Oakland Union escrow account, which was established back in 2004, towards paying off some commercial paper notes. The request is to pay off $2,750,000 in commercial paper notes to be funded by $1,698,302.20 from our investment income and $1,051,697.80 from 2006 surplus funds. So, with a payment of $2.7 million, that'll leave us $40 million to be determined at a future date for conversion to long-term debt.
I make motion. I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Amos, seconded by Mr. Guerra. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes. Item number 9, consideration and approval of the purchase of material for the fiber optic communications link upgrade. Mr. McCann.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, the fiber optics jungle muck system was installed April '95. The installation of the fiber optic system was intended primarily for relay protection and SCADA. Since then, the need for faster, less expensive communication systems has saturated PUB fiber optic system due to the addition of the Titan Palo Alto substations, the 69 and 138 kV transmission line conversion, Southmost Regional Water Authority, the SCADA system for the water plants, and the expansion of PUB's local area network. Staff is sent out with the assistance of the purchasing department, fiber optic material, an amount coming in at $57,952.12.
Okay.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Valadez, seconded by the Honorable Robert Guerra. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those against? Anybody against? The motion passes. We now move on to item number 10, consideration and approval of purchase of the 138 kV single core cable XLPE insulated for Unit 10 as part of the 69-138 kV conversion project phase number 3. Mr. McCann.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, PUB Purchasing Department opened bids on February 22nd for the 138 kV single core cable. 3 vendors responded, shown in the attached evaluations. Bids ranged from $75,360 to $206,902. The 138 kV insulated cable and terminations will be used to replace the unit number 10 69 kV cable at Silas Ray as part of the conversion project. Staff recommends purchasing the cable at a cost of $75,360 from Pan American Supply of Katy, Texas.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Mr. Guerra, seconded by Mr. Valadez. All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Item number 11. Consideration and approval of 138 kV potential transformers for the 69-138 kV conversion project phase number 3. Mr. McCann.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, PUB Purchasing Department opened bids February 22nd for the 138 kV potential transformers. 4 vendors responded with bids ranging from $6,094 to $9,786. The potential transformers will be used to replace Airport Waterport Union Carbide 69 kV transformers as part of the Phase 3 conversion. Staff recommends the low bid of $6,094 from Coolman Electric of Versailles, Kentucky.
James, what do you do with those I mean, do they have any economic life left to begin with? I guess that's the question. And what do you do with those transformers if they have?
Typically, we bid out surplus material on an annual basis. Last year, the bids came in marginally low for the major items. Some items did not receive any bids.
And let me ask you, there's no market in Mexico?
There's a market every place, but we've got to have bidders. I guess we could recommend to purchasing to expand the notices.
Because I noticed we practically give away the poles that we take out, and this too, I mean, who knows, maybe there's a little bit of market someplace else.
I personally have invited other utilities to come down.
Yeah, but here locally, I mean, one of the benefits of living along the borders, and sometimes you can benefit, you know, there's a lot to benefit from that you can either buy or sell, as long as it's legal. Maybe if we contacted the Comisión Federal de Electricidad and asked them if they have any interest locally in Matamoros.
We could certainly, we're familiar with local CFE people, and we could let them know. I don't know what their purchasing policies are, whether they would allow such purchase or not.
Look into it.
Yes, sir.
I make a motion to accept staff recommendation.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Guerra, seconded by Mr. Valdez. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Item number 12, consideration and approval of a professional services contract for a long-range transmission and distribution planning study. Mr. McCann.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, on January 10th, 2007, PUB Purchasing Department opened and received an open request for qualification statements for a long-range transmission and distribution planning study. Staff ranked these firms based upon qualifications, experience, workload, organizational structure, insurability, equipment resources, regional presence, and asked the top two firms to make recommendations to the board. At the February 12th board meeting, R.W. Beck and Electrical Systems Consultants each gave 10-minute presentations regarding their ability to provide a long-range T&D planning study for PUB. Based upon the evaluations and board presentations, staff recommends that the board authorize the general manager to negotiate a professional services contract for a long-range T&D study with R.W. Beck for an amount not to exceed $150,000.
Motion by Mr. Valdez,
I'll second.
seconded by Mr. Guerra. All those in favor? Aye, motion passes.
Thank you.
Item number 13, consideration and approval of contract award for lift station numbers 9, 24, 25, 26, and 111, and Robbinsdale Headworks Valve Replacement Construction Improvements. Ms. Gomez.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, on March the 2nd, the Brownsville PUB Water and Wastewater Engineering Department hired NRS consultant engineers to evaluate and prepare an engineering feasibility report on a series of lift stations in the wastewater system and 24-inch valves located at the Robbinsdale Wastewater Treatment Plant. And based on the results of their study, NRS was hired to prepare construction plans and bidding documents from the results of the PUB engineering staff review of their study and recommendations. An invitation to bid was advertised on January the 14th, 2007, and January 21st, 2007, for structural improvements at 5 different lift stations, as well as the replacement of valves at the Robbinsdale Wastewater Treatment Plant. A total of 3 contractors responded, and Peterson Construction was the lowest qualified bidder with a bid of $1,327,994. PUB staff recommends awarding the lift station number 9, 24, 25, 26, and 111 in Robbinsdale Headworks Valve Replacement Construction Improvement to Peterson Construction for an amount not to exceed of $1,327,994.
They all have to get a performance bond and everything.
They have.
They meet their...
We've had experience with them before?
Yes, we have. This will also eliminate 2 of the small lift stations out of those 5.
Peterson or Pedersen, whatever they call them.
Peterson Construction, we've had experience with
And we had no problem with it?
No.
I make a motion, we accept the recommendation of staff.
Motion by Mr. Guerra, and seconded by, and it sounds like Mr. Valadez would be...
That's fine.
Okay. Seconded by Mr. Valadez to follow recommendation of PUB staff. All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Item number 14, consideration and approval of the selection of an engineer for the wastewater master plan update. Ms. Gomez.
The request for qualifications were advertised on January 21st and the 28th for the wastewater master plan. We mailed out to 62 firms, and we had statements of qualifications from 6 different firms, and they were shortlisted based on criteria that included proper submission of statement qualifications, experience, management, and project understanding. 3 firms were selected to make presentations to a PUB committee, and out of this, we selected 2 firms to come and make presentations to the board today. And we've heard from those 2 firms earlier today.
Mr. Chairman, both firms gave good presentations. I had with Alan Plummer and Associates, you guys did a good job in your presentation, but some of the things that you mentioned, our staff had already looked into it, and we as a board said it was kind of high, like the replacing of the lift stations, because of our high water table. The deep gravity sewer would be costly, so more than likely right now we're having a fight with rate increases and impact fee increases, and it's got to be paid by one or the other. And most likely it will be by rate increases, since the city commission's unwillingness to implement a higher impact fee. So on the Turner, Colley, and Braden, I was impressed that they were ranked second internationally in the specific work that they're going to do. So with that in mind, I'll go ahead and make a motion for Turner, Colley, and Braden.
Motion on the floor by Mr. Valadez, seconded by Mr. Guerra for... I'm sorry. I'm here. Seconded by Mr. Padawan to choose Turner, Colley, and Braden. All those in favor, raise your hand by mentioning aye. Aye. And motion passes for Turner, Colley, and Braden. Item 15, consideration and approval of Brownsville Public Utility Board property insurance renewal. Ms. Hernandez.
Chairman, members of the board, the renewal of PUB property insurance was initiated with a request for a renewal quote from John L. Wortham & Sons, L.P. PUB consultants Tim Whitty with Whitty & Associates reviewed the quote and negotiated on behalf of the PUB. The premium of $716,771.73 in the agenda includes the premium for Southmost Regional Water Authority and the premium tax for Lloyd's of London. The request to the PUB board should not include Southmost Regional Water Authority, and since Lloyd's is not participating, the premium tax should not be included. Based on these changes, the staff is revising its request for approval to $669,884. I am handing out an updated table to the board, and the renewal amount is highlighted.
How does that compare to last year?
Lower
The coverage. Is it lower?
Actually, it is lower. You look at the table as well. Instead of renewing in October for a whole year, what we did actually in July, anticipating an increase, we renewed only for 9 months. And if you look at the bottom part of the table, it says premium savings for a 30-month period. We compared what we actually did over from October 2005, and we're anticipating till March 2008, and our costs and premiums is $1.6 million. And then what we expected, if we had not made these changes, the premiums would have been $1.9 million. We actually saved about $300,000 by renewing only for 9 months in July, and
Well, good job. I'll make a motion to follow.
Motion made by Mr. Almada, seconded by Mr. Valdez. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Thank you. I know it takes a lot of your time. You did a good job. Thank you.
Already done.
16 we have done. We now go to the consent agenda items.
I don't have any.
Well, wait, I want to bring up item 2.
Item 2. Okay, sir. Consideration and approval of a request by the Palmer Drug Abuse Program Brownsville Incorporated to include an optional payment provision on the customer's bill.
Chris, you can't go. We need a quorum.
When you gonna vote?
Okay, I'll let you leave.
Settlement?
My only point is this, okay, is that I was on the Palmer Drug Abuse Board, and I support them wholeheartedly. But I would like to find a way to give them more exposure, not only them, but whoever's on the list. The kids voting, I talked to Father Matthew, and the expectations they had were not met by using the PUB system to solicit donations. Perhaps the staff here with the advertising marketing can incorporate and let people know that they, what an impact, a positive impact they could have by picking out one of the choices that is listed to donate maybe $1 a month automatically every month or something like that. That could really make a big difference, whether it's kid voting or animal rights group or Palmer Drug Abuse. And also incorporate maybe in the city channel, if we get there, Eddie, to where that's advertised also, educating people that, because a lot of people just look at the bill, they just pay the bills and they ignore this. But to raise awareness that they can participate in their community by raising funds for the cause that they want to help out. So that the city channel, maybe the advertisements that we do put there, you can choose to donate money any way you want by committing $1 a month or whatever, and also the air channel, TV channels. That's the only thing. I just want to make sure we do something, because I think with the expectations not being met, that could be met. It's got a lot of potential.
The only reason we bring this item to, as you recall, when you established the policy to go ahead and allow, based on, you would consider individual requests to add a nonprofit service agency to the billing. We can add one more at this time. And the reason we can do that is because we dropped Hurricane Katrina. That expired its useful life. So we do have limitations on the number of entities we can add. Now, the request that we received from Palmer Drug Abuse, in fact, we have a representative with Palmer Drug Abuse, the director, we could accommodate this request. If we start getting an additional request, or 2 or 3 or 4 more requests, then we're going to have some issues with how we have the bill. Because one of the things that we try to do is to not increase the size of the weight of the bill, because we do not want to go over into the next bulk permit rate, because then we do get into a costly proposition. So one of the things that the board did ask us at one time was to, in which we did not do, was to come back with you after 1 full year for you to evaluate and determine whether or not this was a good way or the best way. And you can see by the report that we give you how much money individuals choose to give to the ones that are listed here. I think we would all agree with you, Mr. Amala, that it certainly has not panned out the way people thought, simply because they saw us as a mass mailing. We'll send out, 40, 50, actually we bill something like 70-something thousand bills. 55,000 bills that we send out. But it is still up to the individual who makes a choice on whether they want to give to any of these entities. But from a policy standpoint, you would have to approve the request by the Palmer Drug Abuse to add them, and we can accommodate them at this time.
May I make one more comment? Would you like to introduce yourself? And I'd like to make a comment also. Because your cause is worthy just like everybody else. They're all good causes, and you help our community. But I think it behooves you to promote this method of payment. when you go do, maybe public speaking before groups and stuff like that, you need to get the word out that this alternative is there for them to participate in donating money, the ratepayers. And I think the Brownsville SPCA and all those prevention for cruelty against animals and stuff like that, they should be doing the same thing, because apparently the word is not getting out. I think that's what's happening. And we should try to do the same thing, maybe in the literature that we put out and in the bill, maybe we put a little paragraph in there, we talk about water and wastewater, but also, what we're doing as corporate citizens and trying to get the word out for people to participate in a worthy cause, because they can really make a big difference for farmer drug abuse or prevention against abused animals and stuff like that. Your name, please, and tell us what you're about.
Hi, good afternoon, Chairman and members of the board. My name is Delilah Garcia, and I have been a citizen of Brownsville now since I was 13 years old, and I have a 10-year-old right now, and he's a preteen. And the reason for me first to go take a $30,000 pay cut and work for the Palmer Drug Abuse Program was because I don't want him to be a statistic. I don't want my son to be part of the problem. I want him to learn that there are choices in his life. Because when he goes out with his friends, when he grows up and he's there and they offer him anything, it could be a Coke that might be tinted with something, it might be just a cigarette, but an addiction starts somewhere. And I want to make sure that I'm showing him the way that there are choices, because once he is offered something, I'm not going to be there. And none of our children are going to be there. And if we don't teach them now what the consequences are, then we are not going to be able to make sure that they make the right choice, that they vote for the right person, that they are educated, so they know what their future is going to entail. So today I have brought over a little brochure, and this was printed with the support of the Brownsville Visitors Convention Bureau. They did this free because we obviously do have a budget for marketing. And so one of the things that I had talked to Mr. Eddie Hernandez and Mr. Campirano was that if we could just be added, maybe given 1 or 2 sentences, that even if we didn't get money coming in, that we would get that community awareness. And we are going to have some fundraisers throughout the year, and we would like PUB and other entities, commissioners, and other people that are running for office, if they would like to help us out, then that would be a great asset. And if I could be, I would be also like to be put on the public commentary for maybe the next board meeting. I could present a little PowerPoint in a couple, 1 or 2 minutes, so that when it is aired, there is even more community awareness. So I thank you for your time.
One more thing, a recommendation is go to the city and try and get on that city channel. I can only hear so much reading to the children. Go for it.
Thank you.
I like those stories, Captain.
But thank you for what you and your board do, and, just help us raise awareness that there is a way that the citizens, ratepayers, can participate in your cause by donating money to you or to the prevention against abused animals or United Way, and all those, we're all a community here, so thank you for what you do.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
On item number 1, if I might, on page 8, like the 4th paragraph of the remaining consent items. Page 8.
Before we move, can we have a motion to go ahead and do?
Well, it's a consent item, so.
Well, you pulled item 2, that's why.
They want us to work on that item alone.
We'll approve them all.
The only thing I wanted to do is it said abstain from voting. The only thing I abstained from voting was on the minutes of the November 17th meeting, because I was not there, and that's the only correction I have of the minutes. Instead of the abstain from voting on all the items, just abstain from voting on the November 17th meeting. Other than that, I make no comments, make a motion to approve all the consent items.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Honorable Robert Guerra and seconded by Mr. Chris Valadez. All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes to pass all the consent agenda items.
Except for that one.
Except for the one amendment.
One change, yeah.
Mr. Guerra mentioned. Motion passes. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for coming. Because I didn't.